Hello, welcome to Miniature Realms. My name's Stuart. Osprey Games have sent me an early review copy of the Armies of the Soviet Union for Bolt Action version 3. So let's take a quick look.
Miniature Realms is proudly sponsored by Counter-Attack Bases. They stock a wide range of counters, gaming aids and movement trays for multiple game systems and offer custom items to suit your club, your event or even your podcast or YouTube channel. Check out the link in the video description.
For those of you who have seen my reviews of the armies of the United States, of Germany and of Great Britain will know this is going to be a quick overview rather than a real deep and crunchy review of all the rules inside this book. I'm a very casual bolt action player and it's designed to give you a nice quick overview for a casual player or someone who just wants a bit of an idea of what's inside a book rather than a detailed rundown unit by unit and changes from one edition to the next. As with all the other books in this edition, in my opinion, it's beautifully produced and laid out. Lots of full colour artwork borrowed from the Osprey series books by a host of different artists. Really, really nicely laid out. And it's about 110 pages, which I think is similar to the US books and the British books. As we dive inside the book, there's a nice contents page which is quite detailed, not quite a full index, but there's more than just headings there. There's page numbers for individual entrants as well. So we got the usual introduction to the book, a little bit of background, a little bit of talk around the forces of the Soviet Union in this book, and then it breaks down the army list as you expect in all of its relevant sections. Then we get a few pages of history of scene setting, which is a really nice, pretty simple read for students of World War II. You're probably not going to learn anything new, but maybe you're like me and you don't know an awful lot about Eastern Front and you will still learn a few bits here. And then we move over to sort of forces of the Soviet Union in bolt action and you get a little bit more about how the armies are set up in the game of bolt action, how the different types of army that you can field in bolt action are as well. Again, as you can see, just packed full of colour artwork, miniatures and colour plates as well. I think these books are just stunning. Then we move into the army list proper, and while I'm not going to go through all the individual unit stat lines, I will give a little bit of an overview of the army special rules. First up, we have the Great Patriotic War, and whenever a unit of infantry, including HQ or artillery models, fails a morale check and would be destroyed as a consequence, take the test again and apply the second result. For the motherland, every inexperienced unit that has one or more pin markers can attempt to lose one pin marker if there are any enemy units within 12 inches immediately before an order is given. Basically, that is achieved on a roll of a 4, 5 or 6 and that pin marker is removed. Lack of radios covers just that. Lack of radios, the use of rudimentary command structures, and when you give the command vehicle special rule to a vehicle that does not have it in its entry for the purposes of choosing a command vehicle in an armoured platoon, you can give it for free instead of paying the normal 10 points. However, when you do so, that command radius is reduced from 12 to 6 inches. Massed batteries, when rolling to determine the fire for effect radius from an aiming point, usually d6 plus 6, instead roll 2 dice and take the highest score. Flying tank, when a Soviet forward observer calls in an airstrike, treat the roll of a 4, 5 or 6 on the warplane table as a ground attack aircraft result. Additionally, if a ground attack aircraft type is rolled, the enemy unit attempting to shoot it down requires 5 hits rather than the usual 3. Not one step back, and this is all about commissars being political officers. When a friendly infantry unit Fails an order test within 6 inches of a commissar, remove one model from the unit and re-roll the dice. Note, there is no choice in the matter. If the commissar is within 6 inches of the unit, he will shoot dissentees, whether you want him to or not. The second result stands as normal. The commissar can only make a single roll for each affected unit. This rule only applies to infantry units of 3 or more models. If a unit has the initial size of or has been reduced to 1 or 2 models, this rule does not apply. Hammer and sickle, and this is to represent airborne, NKVD and naval brigade units within the army list. With airborne units must be taken as veteran, units must be upgraded to stubborn for 1 point per model, NKVD units must be upgraded to fanatics for 2 points per model, and then naval brigade units must be upgraded to tough fighters for 1 point per model. Then we have quartermaster stores, as with all the other books, for specialist roles or equipment. And we've got Victory Banner, the SN42 body armour, skis, demolition charges and guard dogs. And then we have the core of all the units and all the stat lines. And of course, you've got entries for your infantry, your artillery, your vehicles of all your different types, your self-propelled artillery. You've got Lend-Lease vehicles, just everything you can imagine. I'm not going to flick through every page and read them all out to you, partly because this is supposed to be a short review, as I've already said, a bit of an overview, and I don't want to get down into the weeds on it. I know a lot of you will be disappointed and want to see it. So ask some questions. I don't mind in the comments replying about checking whether something's in the book for you at all. But I also want to show respect to Osprey and to Warlord and not show the whole book on the screen for people to screen grab and all the rest of the things that goes on these days. But if you have any questions, do ask. And then we have our sample armies. I really like these parts in the book. I just think it's a nice visual way for new players or existing players to see what kind of armies you can create from the book. It's lovely to see painted miniatures like this with colour shots in all their glory. And you just get a bit of an idea of what you might get at different point sizes. And I also like the fact they do that. They show that the game can be played in lots of different sizes. So we started with Winter War, then we move on to the Stalingrad, and again, look at that terrain and those miniatures. It just looks fantastic. It's the kind of things in these books that make me want to start painting miniatures and crack on and get some games going. You've got a Bagration force as well. That's a 1250, so showing slightly larger game size. And if you wanted to, and you were new to the game and you like the look of it, you could just completely copy, I suppose, the armies that are there as well. Finishing off with a smaller force, the 750 in Berlin. And then one of my favourite things for this edition is really simple, and I've banged on about it for every single review, but it's these force selection guides breaking down the war into early war, mid-war and late war. And all you end up with in the next few pages are a few lists of different unit types and vehicles and things placed in those periods. So if you wanted to play a game against a friend and you could pick an era, you could only choose units from that era. That's also brilliant for events as well. So you could run an event and say it's just mid-war, just early war. And I think it's really simple, and I really like it. It's just a great way of adding a little bit more historical accuracy to the game, but still being lighter and fun at the same time. And that's it. That's the overview of the book done. I love the way these are presented. I love the format, and I just think that they're better than the previous editions. I know different people have different opinions on maybe some of the rules inside, but I think they're great.
Thank you very much for watching. I hope you found that useful, and I hope you understand, as I mentioned already in the video, that this is designed to be a quick overview, not a detailed review that talks about all the changes from version 1, version 2 over to version 3. It's very much to be a look inside the book, some general themes and things without going into the sort of the minute detail around stats and statistics and profiles of a particular tank or a particular unit or anything like that. I will leave that up to the really seasoned players, and there are channels out there that will give really long deep dives into this book. If you want that kind of crunch detail, that's what it's for. This is more for a general overview for you casual players, so hopefully it's fitted that bill, and it's in line with the reviews I've done on the previous books for version 3. But anyway, if you have enjoyed it, please do drop a comment below, give the video a like. It really helps me out. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. I cover loads and loads of game systems, and we'll continue covering bolt action, and there'll be more soon in the future as well, so you don't want to miss out on those things, if you'd like to support me further, please do check out my Patreon. Lots of different tiers on there, and it really is the best way you can support me to be able to keep making videos like this across a wide range of different game systems. And the support from the patrons is the only way I can really do that, rather than just focusing on one video a week on some of the bigger games. So the patrons really are integral in helping me cover lots and lots of game systems. So thank you very much for doing that. Check out the channel sponsor as well, Counterattack Bases. But thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I'll catch you soon.